Alrighty, ladies and gentlemen, we are back at it again with another video. And boy, oh boy, ladies and gentlemen, this is going to be a pretty fun discussion because we're going to be focused on something that we typically don't focus that much on when it comes to this channel. And that's actually going to be the story. Because I think that everyone recognizes that Wuthering Waves 3.1 has been probably the best story ever told in any gacha game before. I don't really think it's getting disputed that much anymore. The fact that you're seeing people in CN reacting with 221k concurrent viewership, right? And knowing that the story is good and knowing that a hyped up streamer is about to play it, it's basically become, right, one of the biggest spectacles in the space. And something that comes with a very, very good story is this idea of theory crafting, right? People are so engaged that they want to know what comes up next. They want to know, you know, like they want to be on like the right side when it comes to how the conflict is going to shape out moving forward. So it appears that Kuro Games' Wuthering Waves narrative lead has had an interview. The person involved with crafting one of the best stories ever told in gacha history, and I decided, hey, why don't we go ahead and take this opportunity to see what it is all about. Like a snowball, rolling creativity bigger and bigger, and I don't think anyone can lie when they know all the seeds that have been planted across the early versions of 3.0 and the latter half of 2.x. Yeah, they went kind of crazy with it. So, reported by... Don't cancel me. Game that thing. Before you can move the players, you must first move yourself. Since the launch of Wuthering Waves version 3.1, for you to be walking in the snow, the tear-jerking storyline centered on Ameth and the Rover has ignited phenomenal discussions, both within and outside the industry. This version is widely regarded as another peak for Wuthering Waves in terms of narrative depth, character development, and cinematic performance. Easily the best story. I think they might as well just admit it's the highest peak, because I do believe Wuthering Waves 3.1 is probably going to be the highest revenue patch in the history of WoWA. Especially after the story. I don't know if anyone skipped Ameth after the story. Did anyone skip that unit? Just wondering. Could you skip Ameth after the story? Nah, right? Yeah. I don't know anyone that did. Otherwise, like, the only people that I know skipped are, like, literally gay. Like, they're literally gay, and so they only want to pull the dudes. Those are the only people that I know skipped, genuinely. Simultaneously, positive discussions regarding the productivity of Wuthering Waves have increasingly entered the mainstream spotlight. So basically, they're saying that the game has become, you know, it's getting more of that AAA reputation, more of that high-quality, high-fidelity reputation, and I don't think anybody can be surprised, especially after seeing the final fight, where it's like Sigillum, or not like the final fight, where you're like Sigillum versus Ameth in the mech. Bro, I felt like I was playing a different game. That shit was badass, and the music was badass too. It's worth remembering that during the early stages of the public beta, its narrative was once a controversial weak point for the game. Think early versions like 1.0, where the story went through a lot of rewrites. I think Wuthering Waves' story personally advanced up like crazy following 1.0 into 1.1 and 1.3. I personally love those patches. Camellia's story quest was great too. So, yeah. I do like them saying early stages of the public beta, because it definitely did get a lot better post-release, and people do like to doom post 1.1 a lot. But 1.1 was very good. That's like the Jinsei Second Resonance Awakening, all of that good shit. It was very, very, very good. So, yeah, it's just a little bit odd, right, for some people to have that take. Yeah, just a few versions later, the story has transformed into one of the game's most hardcore modes as a key competitive advantage. And at this point, right, this is how you know. Ameth, yeah, she's Rover's daughter. Ameth is Rover's daughter. This is like a, you know, like father, daughter, mother, daughter, depending on the gender you play as, reuniting. Yeah, right, like that. And this happens like an hour or something in the quest. Yeah, or like an hour, 2-3 hours into the quest. Even more impressive is that this AAA tier, very glad they decided to use it, narrative experience, bolstered by high-quality cinematic animation, is delivered consistently under the high-pressure production cycle of 42 days per version. Basically, this is a call-out to Hoyoverse that you suck. You're trash. Like, you're trash because your story is so dog shit compared to this game, and like, you make more money, you have the same update cycle, and your shit is just trash. Because why do you think they mentioned the 42 days, the live version cycle? Because Hoyo constantly uses this dog shit excuse to explain why their product is bad. They constantly use this dog shit excuse of, well, we gotta get stuff done fast because we only have 42 days. That's why we have all these filler patches and Wonderland theme parks where you feel like you're meant to be a 10-year-old, not a gacha game player. Wuthering Waves doesn't really do filler patches. I do think next patch is kind of filler because we only have one unit, but there's still going to be story, right? Wuwa doesn't really do filler patches. They, like, kind of keep the story going every single version in one way or another, right? But then they make the story good at the same time, so what is Hoyoverse's excuse? Because you guys make billions of dollars. Why is your shit so trash? Why is your shit just, like, so utterly trash in all three of your games? Bro, ZZZ's story. Oh my god. Oh my god. ZZZ 2.x. Holy fuck. The worst story, I think it got, like, genuinely. How did they fuck up ZZZ 2.x so much? And then Amphorius. Brother. Amphorius 3.0 story was so bad, I think half the player base quit the game. And then Genshin. Bro, who even cares what is happening in Not Cry anymore? Does anyone even give a fuck after 3.1 came out? Bro, do you even give a fuck about what's going on in Not Cry after 3.1? It's such a low-brow, simplistic baby story in Not Cry. You don't give a fuck about it after seeing 3.1. You're just like, what is this Disney Mickey Mouse joke shit, bro? What is this garbage trash? Like, you're out here. You have, like, Interstellar. You have Interstellar and Wuwa. And then Donald Duck in Genshin. Insane, the comparison. That's the best way I can put it, bro. So yes, Genshin, made for kids at this point. Sorry, that's terrible. It's made for children at this point. Literal children. Terrible wording there, my bad. Oh, God. That was a fucking... I feel like Nade shot, bro. When he typed in, like, shitters, and then it looked like he just yelled out the N-word in chat. Bro, I feel like that feels like a nade shot moment there. Fuck. That's not good. That's not good. Oh no, another out of context clip Mr. Pokey's gonna take. Oh darn. What am I gonna do about that one? Even though I corrected my explanation 2 seconds later, he's gonna make sure to only take the part where I said that. Awesome, bro. Taking this opportunity, Game That Thing reached out to Goose, the narrative lead of Wuthering Waves. Interesting. We used version 3.1 as an entry point to discuss the character Amith, who has left the entire internet in a state of lingering heartache, and to explore the growth and stories behind the narrative team. Yeah, so basically they're talking about the fact that Amith, right? One of the big things about this quest is this idea of sacrifice. And we see so many people kind of like either die, make insane sacrifices for like family, love, all of that. You see Rover dying over here, right, to save a young Amith. You see a Rover right at the top over here, making sure that they're going into this pool that drains frequencies to save her, right? Then you have, of course, the insane scenes where you see dead Rover over here, a bunch of stuff, and then, of course, the insane sacrifices that Amith makes when she actually, you know, goes, when she dies over here, you know, way back in the day. Right? We all remember this is where she originally dies. And then you get to that point where I think this is the one that, I think this is why people got fucked up. You are controlling Amith as you send her to her death. That is the point of this story, is that this is her making the ultimate sacrifice and you have to control her as she's doing it. This interaction over here is probably one of the biggest reasons. And I gotta say, fuck you, and also great job to Kuro Games for making us do that. But it was obviously, right, super impactful. Throughout our conversation, I rarely heard Goose talk about broad concepts like pipelines or standards. Basically, industry stuff that you should be doing to get stuff out in like a cookie cutter way. This is another shot at Hoyoverse. I'm serious. Because what does Hoyo do? They take the same shit, the same cycle, copy it, and try to do it in all of their games. And it gets worse every single time they copy because this company has no creativity, no inspiration, and just do what they did before on repeat. AKA Amphorius. Brother, do you even need more proof when I show you Cyrene, bro? Bro, do you even need more fucking proof, bro? Like, just think about the Elysian realm. Elysia and Amphorius, bro. This is a shot at Amphorius. Just fucking calling that shit out. That shit was garbage. You just played the same story again. What a joke. Instead, he repeatedly emphasized nuanced creative understanding and subjective terms like feeling, resonance, and fun elements that are difficult to quantify. This basically means thinking outside of the box, not having like a cookie cutter way of developing your story and using every opportunity possible in your writing to make it impactful. And that's why 3.1 was so good. It's because the writer actually tried. But you want to know where the writer didn't fucking try? The bitch who made this unit. Well, you just fucking Control-C, Control-V'd, you effortless fucking paycheck stealing thief. Bro, you literally Control-C, Control-V'd, bro. Are you fucking real? Bro, you got paid millions of dollars to do this. He got paid millions of dollars to click 2 buttons. Because this is the thing, boys. Check this shit out. Is it not the same fucking photo? Is that just not the same fucking photo? Huh? Bro, it's legitimately the same unit. Legitimately the same unit. They're absolutely completely the same. Except for the fact that Cyrene is actually written worse than Alicia. People actually like this unit. People love this character. People fucking hate her because she just looks like a worse version of her. And that's the reputation that the Elysian Realm, one of the most well-liked arcs in HI3 history, now has. It's the original, and Amphorius is the shitty copy. Insane. Now, moving on. Obviously, Kuro's being creative, right? In an era where the game industry is obsessed with industrialization, bro, they just keep shitting on... Bro, Goose hates Hoyo. What the fuck? He just keeps talking shit about the general industry and practices. Bro, he hates Hoyo. What? I was kind of joking about it before. It has to be true now. It has to be true now. There's no way. In an era where the game industry is obsessed with industrialization, such expressions are rare. Hoyo's ruining the story in the space. But for the Wuthering Waves team, who created the story for Amith, providing answers with this kind of warmth is actually more reassuring. The validated preset. Seeing players collectively emo after completing the version 3.1 story, I think we were all mad. Yeah, I'm pretty sure everyone kind of looked like this during this scene, bro. We're just like, bro, I don't even want to do this. I'm pretty sure everyone's like, bro, I don't want to do this. Absolutely true. What was the internal reaction within your team? Goose. Actually, our original intention was very simple. As long as everyone can feel the emotion we wanted to convey through the story, that is the happiest thing for us. Let's backtrack a little bit then. And think, in my opinion, the most emotional moments in... this is just a bonus. So, at one point, I got stranded from the mission objective. I rewatched this and I realized this shit is actually hilarious. Like, just this scene is legitimately hilarious.
That you can break, bro.
I'm like lost, bro, right? I'm trying to get to the...
I need to find one. Like one of those rocks you can break. Go down?
And like, chat is thinking I'm retarded.
I'm too high?
Chat just thinks I'm dumb. I actually turn on autopilot. I am pretty dumb here, if I'm being fair. And like, I start getting stressed, right? Because like the drop's hitting and I don't know where to go. I'm like freaking out right now, bro. Like what? Like, bro, just think about what you would be doing here.
Low-key a little bit too hype for what I'm trying to... I'm just trying to get to a quest location, bro. Bro, I'm just trying to get to the marker.
Oh, that was fun. That... And what? Wait for this. This is the gold moment here. Sorry. That was just a little fun bit from my story segment that I wanted to play. Obviously not related to the emotional moments that I was talking about, but that it's just a little bit entertaining, right? So, hopefully y'all enjoyed that one. In line with like those emotional moments, right? I think that this one over here is definitely like absolutely insanely baller, right? This one right over here, I think, was like the first moment where I was just like, all right, you know what? I see what you're up to, Kuro Games. I see what you're up to. Yeah, you get like all like the different recollections, right? And I think my favorite moment is actually the lead up to this. Because Rover drops the iconic quote. Right here.
I will be there for everyone as we head toward our shared future, leaving the past behind.
And everyone knows, this is Rover, their character selection screen line. You press C when you log into the game for the first time and you hear this. So this is like one of the first things you hear in the game, basically. And you hear it almost every day as an early game player. So we all remember it, right? And so obviously I'm just like, okay, this is like fucking cinema, right? But when you factor in that all the moments right before this, right? They showed like all of like, you know, the past situations you've been in, right? Everything that you've done in the past, right? Talking about Jinjo, talking about, right, Rinasita, talking about Septimon, all of that. And so it's just like, if you are like a day one player, or you're somebody that's played the entire fucking story, right? Then you get the emotional impact of every other version as well. And then, of course, this shit over here. And then you obviously learn about the insane sacrifice Rover's made just to, like, be on Solaris in the first place. So it hits, like, all of you at once. And then you get the reference, right, to the quote that you hear at the start of the game. So I think this is why, this is genuinely, right? I think this is why I call it this. You can hear my reaction, and editor, you can just skip to it. I don't know how long I AFK here. I'm just AFK. I'm absorbing the moment. I am so glad I didn't get spoiled for that. Wow. That might be the best line I've ever seen in a game before. And now after I gave all the reasons for why, right, backtracking into the story, talking about all those moments, it makes sense, right? And that statement makes sense after I've shown you the entire build-up to it, right? That's Exhibit A. That is Exhibit A for me about why this quest was such a massive success, right? And why it was so positively received for so many people. And I would dare say that obviously the next moment, right, that I think just fucking blew everybody up. I don't think there's anyone that survived this moment over here.
My only wish for you is that you live a happy life.
And then you get like the scene where you know she dies and everything too. And then you know that she heard past Rover telling her to live a happy life. And she said, I refuse. And she overclocked herself and died. That is like the other one. And the thing is, most people didn't even get this reference. You want to know why? Because it was in a separate web short. And so, if you're somebody that decided to watch this separate web short, then you basically got an additional reward with this scene being giga impactful. Well, I hope you watch this one.
Void take my future. I will protect everything we have.
And that says save the world. After you've played through 3.1, doesn't this saying save the world mean so much more?
Saving the world.
That's her dying. So I skipped the part where she actually says I refuse to Rover. I believe it's right about here. But that's like all the stuff afterwards. This is the moment.
Yay!
And that's where the line is from. My only wish for you is that you live a happy life. And, well, yeah, it's...
My only wish for you is that you
live a happy life. That's where the quote is from. And this is Ameth's response, remembering what Rover said.
I refuse to let the void take my future.
And that's how the rest of the scene goes. So that, right? when you have all the context and you're a dedicated player, right, that has been absorbing all the media, absorbing all of that stuff, do you begin to see why this story is being so critically acclaimed across the space? I think it becomes very obvious. Because the more you like Wuthering Waves, the more stuff you're going to consume about it, the more you like this story. And it's so good for the people that have all that background knowledge. I feel like it inspires others to catch up on everything Wuwa has had. I think that this story is so good that it retroactively elevates every other version we've had in the game, because you start looking at every action Rover has made differently through a different lens, with the context from 3.1 and the background info. So the story does more than just be a good 3.1 story. It's made the entire story of Wuwa, it has ascended. And that's why I think the story is such a big topic with this game right now, because 3.1 literally changed everything. All right, I know that was a bit of a long one. My apologies for that, but we had to get a lot of glue for that one. So yeah, as long as everyone can feel the emotion we wanted to convey through the story, that is the happiest thing for us. When polishing text with other members of the narrative group, we don't talk much about logic. We talk about feelings. What emotion might players experience at this specific node? I'm gonna ask these bastards, what the fuck? Fuck you, asshole. Yeah, I bet you were just like, yeah, let's make them feel like shit. Yep. Hey, let's make every player of this game feel like shit. That was the conversation you bitches had at the Kuro office, didn't you, huh, bastards? Yeah, let's just make him feel bad, bro. Let's make him feel bad, bro. I already know, dickheads. We strive to guide the imagination through audio, visual language, and mobilize memories to connect foreshadowing. They did a fantastic job. That's why I made this Chisa Deserves an Apology video, right? Because one thing we noticed was like this whole, well, Amith turns into a star, right? Oh, fuck, there's one in Honami City. So it becomes obvious that stuff that occurred in version 2.8 is actually relevant for the story moving forward, because we literally see Amith in version 2.8, and this is her going back in time to sacrifice herself. And then we hear Amith on the radio too, right? She's actually one of the people that like says the little shit. Where is it? I hope to make you proud. I haven't let you down. That's what Amith says during the final fight scene, right? Where she goes back to like save Rover. I hope to make you proud. I haven't let you down. Right there. Those are all the callbacks, right? All of the stuff that people are starting to reference now. Now it's like, oh, wait, the Lahai Roy tape recorder and Rover's frequencies. Oh, they touched it. Is this a save point? People look at this and they think it's a save point. Rover will respawn here. Kind of makes sense why Rover dies here, right?
Or, yeah, they have it right here, and then it's floating down.
Oh, wait, I need to get the aura moment here.
Have it.
Nah, I need to give the VA props here. You got to get his aura moment. That's got to be one of the, like, I mean this in, like, the least gay way possible. That's got to be one of the best screams I've heard in it. Like, the best MC screams I've heard in a game before.
Or, yeah, they have it right here. And, then
and like, we're cooked,
down.
bro. We're
Who
dead.
grabs that?
We're fucking dead, bro. But when you look at us fading over here, and you know that we touched this, save point? Respawn? Why do you think there's such a focus on the hand glowing over here and the hand fading over here, brother? Why is there so much of a focus on the hand fading over there? Fading versus glowing. And we all know that there is a moment in the Honami City quest where Rover apparently loses their memories, doesn't know what happens, right? And then you get that quest marker where it's like the story not told. So that's just like the level of stuff, right, that people were able to dig, recognize, and 2.8, a version, right, where people were kind of just like, this shit's mid as hell, right? And I don't give a fuck about Honami City that much. I kind of didn't. But now that I know Amith and all of this stuff is related, and that there's like a re-zero time loop and shit going on, that we die, but then obviously they're like that cassette from Lahai Roy that we touched hasn't done anything yet. But now Honami City just got a lot more exciting, didn't it? Only when players can feel the character's emotions can true immersion be achieved. So seeing everyone so deeply invested is incredibly encouraging for the team. Y'all did a good fucking job with it. It means players are truly resonated with the story, which is the greatest affirmation of our work. And my take is guys, 3.0 is a filler patch. Bro, the story, Linnea's story is so dog shit compared to this one. It's unreal. Now I am so validated on hating the fuck out of 3.0's story. It's just shit compared to this. 3.0 felt like a filler patch. Dude, it's so mid compared to 3.1. Bro, like, I get it's an introduction to the story, but it's so boring in comparison. I was immediately hooked on 3.1 in like 5 minutes. Recently, many streamers have reached new viewership highs while streaming the 3.1 story. Was this within your expectations? Probably not. I don't think they expected 221k concurrents. I don't think anyone expects 221k concurrents because this is one of the most popular streams in like history then. It goes back to what I just said. We spent a lot of time aligning on feelings. It's not just the writers, the departments for environment design, performance, voice acting, and everyone else contributing to the project are all serving a shared feeling. We believe that the audio visuals, gameplay, and text are fully unified, and the resulting experience carries true infectious power. I buy that. This is probably the most well-produced quest in the history of the game from the perspective of everything smooth, everything lines up, and the only thing that feels a little bit off to me is the motorcycle parts. Because they're kind of just like meant to be cutscenes, and the motorcycle does look a little bit janky sometimes in some animations. But I think that's it. Everything else when it comes to the quest, the cinematography, the cutscenes, all of that, the graphical fidelity, very, very, very good. And I really do think the only weak point animation and fidelity-wise, again, is the motorcycle. That's kind of like it. But how can I really complain about stuff that minor when this is the boss fight, bro?
Stars, light up tomorrow.
Just look at this boss fight.
Body limit unlocked. The savior rises.
See ya, bitch. Focus up!
Oh, he is focusing up. Shit. Oh, never mind. Stop doing that. Hey, I take it back. I take it back. I'll put my robot... I'll take my nuke out like you take yours away too, okay? Stop it, bitch!
Down with the curtain.
And then he does this. Just watch. Oh, did I lose? Wait. Why did he just show up like that? Bro, he just cut a planet? What the fuck? You hear what I just asked? Bro, did he just cut a planet? Why did he just cut a planet? What's he doing that for? Why did he just cut the planet? And then this music hits. Why did he just cut the planet in half?
What exactly are you hiding from me?
What is this Elden Ring fucking soundtrack, bro? Maybe you should explain why he just did that.
Haven't you noticed you're not yourself?
Maybe you could just explain how he just did that. This is the moment where it just goes nuts. It goes fucking nuts. Oh no. Oh no. Why'd they hit me like that though? What the fuck? That's literally the world. That's Dio. But it's also Spectral Rover, right? Because Spectral Rover has the ability to stop time. So that's probably something that full-strength Rover was able to do back in the day. Hey, just saying, right? Because Sigillum is Rover. Or that's something we end up finding out right at the end of this fight. Canon versus canon. Sigillum's Rover. We end up finding that shit out. And so, right? Is that Rover at their full strength? They can stop time and then start throwing a bunch of swords at you? Just saying, right? That's just how badass it is. And when you know that Sigillum is Rover and Sigillum is fucking doing that shit, you're just like, okay, well, the MC is way more badass than I fucking thought. The MC can cut planets, bro. I think in a live streaming context, right? This unified experience makes it easier to trigger collective resonance. Basically, there's so many aura farming moments in this story, so many cool, insane pops, amazing emotional moments that everyone wants to see how everyone reacts to it. That's what they're saying over here. There's so much good in the story. Everyone wants to constantly rewatch it and just see what everyone's different reaction is to it. I think that's just a fact at this point. Game That Thing. Many players say the after effects of the 3.1 story are particularly strong. Where do you think that the core sting of this emotional knife lies? I've already said it. It's the emotion of family. It's sacrifice. It's looking back on how far you've come in the journey, and then realizing, oh my gosh, right? Like this is actually what's been going on. It's knowing that Rover wants to go home. It's knowing that Rover is like the black cat, and it's also like the fact that like you see all the links back to previous versions that weren't maybe that good in your previous respect. So, yeah, I think it's just a lot. I think it's a lot of emotional baggage that you realize has been developing across the entire time you've been playing the game. But then it all hits you at once because we're all Rover here. We all didn't know this, right? Ameth knew this about us as the player during this part of the quest. Ameth's with us this entire time. We're just as in the dark about Rover's past as Rover is. And so we find out basically with Rover, god damn, this shit is actually mad cooked. Although the game world is fantasy, it must be based on reality to extract the emotions we are most familiar with in real life. We want to present feelings that players have more or less experienced or felt in the real world. I already know somebody that is... I hope the person I'm thinking about does not get shit from this part. Because I think it is. I think this was an emotion that resonated with a good majority of the population. When players recognize... I think that was beyond fair. Was that beyond fair? I think that was beyond fair as a breakdown of the situation. Good lord. When players recognize their own understanding of family within Ameth, empathy occurs. It's not so much that we stabbed a pain point, but rather that players themselves touched a soft spot in their own hearts. I'm just not going to comment. I'm just not going to comment on that one. Game that thing. Version 3.1 has high sci-fi content, but hard sci-fi. And speaking in riddles are often a fine line apart. How did you balance this? As we said before, the core we want to express is emotion. The world of Wuthering Waves has a sci-fi foundation, and classic sci-fi themes, like causality loops or the grandfather paradox, are perfect for amplifying the tension of emotional resonance to the extreme. This just gets people excited when you see shit like "Go Home Now" from the boss in Honami City, where this statement made no fucking sense, right? But after a rewatch and knowing that this is what Sigillum says too, this means a lot more now, right? Then remember the glowing hands and the glowing Lahai Roy thing in the frequencies, the save point, then Ameth in Honami City. All of that, right? Blah, blah, blah. Yeah, are perfect for amplifying the tension of emotional resonance to the extreme. As for controlling the barrier to entry, my experience is don't write the script like an instruction manual. This time, when we introduce sci-fi concepts, we focus on the fact that humans imagine reversing time because there are regrets they want to change or people they want to save. A little rough, right? Therefore, in this story, we didn't focus on explaining the mechanics of time travel. Instead, we extracted the core of sci-fi that can generate that sort of same dynamic. They don't get into a lot of specifics of how the time travel works. It basically just is, hey, if you're able to go into the Void Storm, you can kind of do whatever you want. That's what it is. If you can get into the Void Storm, guys, you can do whatever you would like. That's kind of like the point. Game that thing. I've noticed that players in the community have turned into Sherlock Rovers. And this is kind of like where I think like my personal takes have allowed me to really contribute to this conversation. A video that I recorded, an obvious one that I've been playing a lot to supply a lot of the glue, is this whole Chisa deserves my apology video. Because my take has been, is that I feel like Chisa has so much potential to be one of those units that really just absolutely changes everything when it comes to her story perception, where the story is going to go in 3.2, so on and so forth. Where my theory is that Sigillum, right, is actually the person that's going to respawn from this save point. Sigillum is going to end up meeting up with Chisa, and because Sigillum is old Rover, they teach Chisa how to cut back to the past as well. Then Sigillum meets up with, like, the current Rover, all of that. They get, quote-unquote, Ameth, and they all go all the way back to Aleph 1 and that original fight with the Exostrider. Rover becomes Fusion Rover, so on and so forth. Chisa is there for the negative status Fusion Burst team, and then Ameth is on Fusion Burst mode. And you just fight Aleph 1 with the Fusion Burst team. It makes a ton of sense, right? I think it's a theory that's probably the most sensible one of all, because it's probably pretty hard for Chisa to control her powers immediately, right? And cut to the past. However, if it's Sigillum, who's old Rover, that's super fucking intelligent and smart, isn't that something Chisa can probably do then, even if she's a novice, that's been, you know, sort of like hindered by her collar her entire life. Wouldn't Sigillum, the old Rover, have the expertise to actually get that done? That's been my theory. And I think it's one that makes sense. I even got like the TLDR for it down here if you're interested, right? I think people thought I was spitting a little bit. Anyways, that's how involved I've been in figuring out where the story is going to go. And you don't get an interest in figuring out things like that, guys. You don't get that interest at all unless you just genuinely are interested in the story. And that's something that I feel like is happening with a lot of people. Seeing players care so much about our plot is truly moving. Some community member interpretations of the future of the 3.1 plot or excavations of past content are quite interesting, though some might have strayed off track. If Sigillum is not Fusion Rover, I'm just going to be fucking pissed. Because one of the big things that I like to think about is the fact that we look through Sigillum's eyes, right? In this cutscene. We are Sigillum. And that's one of the big parts of frustration for Rover in this scene. Because this is like the current present. You're Sigillum, right? Wouldn't it make sense that when Rover wakes up, Sigillum is Rover? This is actually Sigillum right now. And then Sigillum is the one that does all this, leaks out, and dies to sacrifice, right? That's Sigillum over there. They're leaking out to die to get baby Ameth up. And I'm just saying, if Sigillum is not part of Fusion Rover's kit at this point, despite the fact that they are easily the most aura farming character or boss we probably had in the history of the game, it just doesn't make that much sense, right? Sigillum got absorbed. That's the point. Sigillum literally gets absorbed at the end of this scene over here. She's like having a conversation with him. This is basically your old... This guy is on Rover's side now. Old Rover and new Rover have fused. Fusion. The meaning of the path ahead is mine to decide.
Where I'm going now. That's what matters. Not where I started.
Then keep going.
Didn't Rover say he failed to save little Ameth? That's because Sigillum is the one that saved little Ameth. Guys, I've been telling you for a reason. You are Sigillum in this cutscene. You look through Sigillum's eyes. You control Sigillum. Why can't Sigillum be controlling you here? Think of this as Sigillum saving, like knowing who Ameth is and saving her. Oh, there we go. That's the thing. Because what do you see such a big focus on, guys, during those scenes? The tacit mark, right? And where did Sigillum get absorbed, guys? Why is there so many flashes of yellow gold? The same exact color that Sigillum is during this entire scene. A little bit more up. Do this. Then keep... Why is there such a big focus when it's the exact same color that Sigillum is when they're entering Rover's tacit mark? So those are some of my theories over there. Of course, we can feel everyone's passion. Seeing the Rover in a detective outfit is quite fun, and being able to derive joy from it is the best feedback for us. Reasons why it had to be them. How did you initially conceive the character Ameth? We primarily set the tone through two dimensions, social identity and resonance ability. First is social. She's a student and a singer, which is very important for her. And I think that's like, you know, that's a very important part of like her character's motif. The songs, all of that. They even make like the song and the performance of it, right? A really pivotal part of the quest. And also in her kit too, because she sings while blowing shit up. Second is the resonance ability, which is the more fantastical part. Being a digital ghost is a crucial setting for Ameth. We thought in the world of Wuthering Waves, why would she become one? And what is something that only a digital ghost can do? And why must it be her? They really focus a lot on this idea of a digital ghost. And they make it the most pivotal part of the quest, right? A lot of moments where Rover looks like at the start over here, I say Ameth ruined Rover's life. You can probably see why. I think she ruined his school life. Just read that. Bro is cooked. And, like, the fact that they were able to, like, weave in the humor, weave in, like, the plot points, all of that, make Rover look autistic and schizophrenic all at the same time, Well done. Good job, Kuro Games. Now I feel retarded in the first 5 minutes of the quest. Once we figured out these 2 dimensions, the points we wanted to use to touch the players, and the causes and effects of the events were basically formed. The remaining work was for the various departments to take these imaginative fragments and string them into a logically coherent story. Then, when designing Cartithia, right, for the Renacida version, what were your considerations? This is my take. I think she's better than Cartithia. I think they're both great. I think I like Amith better than Cartithia. Because Cartithia is kind of just like, she was like man-made, right? A little bit like artificially made, right? Designed by the Threnodian. And it's like not as closely linked to you as the MC. During the initial design of Cartithia, the feeling she gave us was like being the center of a vortex. Many events in Renacida were closely related to her and would change the city. Absolutely. Yeah, pretty much everything. Why her? Cartithia's origins were themselves a massive conspiracy, which explains why she's at the center. But what can she do? Since Cartithia was a tool created by the Morning Bells, he means the Threnodian, her most moving choice was to rebel against her creator and stand with the people of Renacida who gave her actual warmth, humanity, that sort of stuff. And by establishing these 2 anchors, Cartithia's character persona was basically set. The next step was to write her story around her. I think Cartithia should have been a little bit more evil, in my opinion, and then gotten, like, convinced to be better. She was just kind of, like, good the whole time, and I think part of me never really believed that she was made by the Threnodian. Do you guys get what I mean by that? It's like, she never seemed to have acted in a way that seemed Threnodian-like at all, because you know that even the fight with her was a bait. She wanted to die, right? Like, in the 2.2 fight, she wanted to die. And so it's like, it never really seemed like there was any evilness in her, despite being made by the Threnodian. And that was like, that's probably like the main plot point, in my opinion, of the 2.x arc. I wanted to see her be more evil if she was made by the fucking Threnodian, bro. Is that fair? And then see her transform more to the goodness as time goes on. Fleur-de-lis was bad, they were separate? No. Fleur-de-lis wanted to die. You could even say, like, she was like, thank you. And stuff like that. So it's like, there was never, like, it doesn't really seem like they were that evil in the first place. That's my personal take. I didn't get that vibe from 2.2. Once the character persona is set, how do you integrate that into the world? It's a natural process. Fleur-de-lis was the evil one. Guys, there's clearly people in here that didn't watch the fucking quest. So we're just gonna replay it. You didn't watch the fucking quest. You literally see at the end over here, you dipshits. There's a follow-up somewhere. Where you see that, like, Fleur-de-lis was, like, holding it all back by herself. She's holding back the Threnodian, you fucking retards. You didn't even watch this shit. What the fuck are you even saying?
You are not the perfect creation.
She's holding... Fleur-de-lis is holding the Threnodian back. What the fuck? Are you saying this is evil, you fucking idiots? You didn't even watch this shit. Just shut the fuck up. Just talking, bro. She's evil. No, you don't know shit. You just don't know shit.
Always rise to defeat evil. I will defeat you.
This is Fleur-de-lis.
And await my own defeat. Whoever it is,
I will await my defeat.
The tide of resistance never ceases. False divinity, suffer my disobedience.
And then, right? This is how you should know, right? Guys,
I can
this is when they tell you
not
she's not evil.
fall now. No wall is impregnable. Humanity has its flaws, exploited by the Threnodian. But we shall not go down without a fight. The waves of resistance shall never cease. Mankind will not be oppressed by the Threnodian.
Y'all skip this. Just so you know, you guys all skip this, by the way.
Now.
Or you just don't remember this somehow.
Be free. Light, come hither.
Y'all forgot this.
Make way for your destruction.
And you idiots said she was evil? What's wrong with you? What is wrong with you to say after seeing this and hearing what Fleur-de-lis said that Fleur-de-lis was evil? Are you guys dumb? This is the thing. Unfortunately, Kuro's story requires like a higher brow level of understanding. And this is a fact. Wuthering Waves story is made for smarter people than Genshin stories, and HSR stories, and ZZZ stories. Those stories are made for dumb children. And clearly, when a dumb child reacts to Wuwa's story, they got no fucking clue what's going on, and will say retarded shit like Fleur-de-Lis being the evil one. Because you're dumb Genshin Impact players that don't understand what an actual story fucking looks like. And you need Paimon over here. Oh, Rover, it looks like Fleur-de-Lis was actually good the whole time. She did a great job holding back the Threnodian. You need that shit told to you because you're stupid. When Kuro shows it to us. But clearly, even with the most obvious shit ever, you don't understand still. This is how dumb you are. Once the character persona is set, how do they integrate into the world? It's a natural process. As an open world game, the world must be able to function on its own before the protagonist arrives. And I think that's something that's definitely going on, right? We get it in there just in time before shit starts going crazy. By associating historical events that affect various regions with characters, we can place them at the center of the vortex. Avenolium does look like one. There's stories that unfold naturally along the structure of the world, for example, with Cardathea and the Faith one, and then Ameth in the time loop, right? The Sentinel, the main character of the region, right, is closely tied to the biggest sort of issue. And of course, Lahai Roy doesn't exist if Ameth doesn't go back in time, right? Lahai Roy doesn't exist if Ameth doesn't go back in time. That's kind of like the point. After version 3.1, the rover's image has become more multi-dimensional. How are you shaping them? Ooh. We have always treated the rover as the most important character to develop. When designing the rover's logic of actions, editor, cut out that part. The vid will be log af. The only people telling me to cut the Fleur-de-Lis part out are the retards that said she was evil. So are you just guys basically saying, hey, please save me from retardation. I don't want to be seen in the chat publicly saying Fleur-de-Lis was evil. Is that why you're asking me to cut out that shit? I know that's why you're asking me to cut that out. Not because it's too long. It's because you're in my chat on the record looking mad retarded. You know that's the reason why. They stopped typing. The people that were saying cut it out stopped typing. When designing the rover's logic of action, we stand in the player's perspective. For example, at a critical moment in the plot, if the players are angry or want to take action, the protagonist should behave the same way. Yeah, I wanted to die here, just like Rover. Well done. Next is the sense of growth. After so many versions, the rover should logically change. When the rover faces a dilemma, we try to let them use their existing abilities and past experiences to solve it, letting players feel that both they and the protagonist are constantly growing. Honestly, I kind of agree with that. Because it feels like I'm, as a player, getting more and more knowledge and, like, more able to tackle things. Like, even things like getting the bike, right? And, like, now we're able to, like, have a lot more autonomy in, like, the Frostlands, all of that. And then even, like, the whole thing with, I think, like, just this part of the quest over here. It's, like, the whole thing with just the knowledge. Rover becomes more intelligent with the dialogue options. And as you gain the knowledge, right, and you start getting more context, they put the pieces together. And Rover has so many moments of internal monologue where they talk to themselves, right, after seeing something, and then come to a realization. You don't need Paimon to tell it to you. Rover learns it. It's a recap of what you saw in the cutscene, and so you learn it too. Yeah, so I think it's a well-done period of growth over there for everybody. Is the Rover more composed and human now than before? Would their mindset change when facing the same dilemma? These are the things we consider heavily. I think the impact of them absorbing Sigillum is still yet to be seen, because it's never revealed, like I said, that which of these guys is Sigillum. I can almost guarantee one of them has to be. I think that the Rover we see as over here, right? This is Sigillum or Rover. But the thing is, the person dying here has to be Sigillum or Rover as well. So there's clearly, right, a different thing going on, and we have split. I think that's the main thing. We have split, and if we did it, I don't know why they would focus so much on the yellow glowing tacit mark, because that's what Sigillum is. That's why I think the impact of that is still going to be seen, because you still need to have the residual frequencies of the old Rover. For instance, that widely quoted line, "I want to stay by everyone's side." Okay, they're saying, "I will be there for everyone." They're talking about this quote right here. "I will be there for everyone as we head towards our shared future, leaving the past behind." They know that was the best line in the game. The writer themselves knows this was the best line in the game. They know. I told you why it's the best one, so I know too. That wasn't a pre-planned golden quote. We didn't dictate that a certain line must be said in 3.1. So it was actually unintended from the start. When the Rover had experienced several adventures with companions and learned the truth hidden by Ameth, the context was right. And saying that line at that moment was a natural progression. It was a spontaneous expression of the character after growing to that point. They show the flashbacks. Yeah, you got the Black Shores and everybody over there, all the different factions. Yeah, I mean, I bet bro shed a tear when he put that one in. He was like, this about a bang. I already know. He was fucking... Jesus Christ. He really cooked, didn't he? What do you hope players feel from the character stories? I hope players feel that it is an interesting story. We break the story into 3 layers. This is the most core foundation. Even if a player skips the dialogue or just skims it, they should find it vivid, interesting, and emotionally resonant. Hey, anyone skip the 3.1 story and can confirm that? Hey, I swear you won't get jumped, bro. Hey, anyone skip the story and can confirm that this is how it works? You won't get jumped, I promise. You won't get jumped, bro. I promise. You won't get banned. Players might not notice it the first time, but looking back, they should find that the story was foreshadowed, making the emotional experience logically consistent rather than sudden. Did anything seem wild to you during 3.1? No, I think I kind of knew where stuff was going. There were some minor surprises here and there, but they laid very good foundation for everything that occurred. There was nothing where it felt like there was a plot hole. There was nothing where it felt like it didn't make sense. And I think all they did was foreshadow even more future versions. So I think it's well done. This should be the most restrained part of the narrative. If we want to convey a profound philosophy or use a classic illusion, it should be buried the deepest. Personally, I feel that as an entertainment medium, if a game is too obsessed with preaching truths at the expense of the player's emotional logical experience, it's putting the cart before the horse. So basically, they're prioritizing emotion and how the player should feel during the story versus maybe like the key points of the story. But I'm gonna be honest, clearly you can do both. I will be real though. This is not a particularly super complex or ridiculous plot, right? Somebody's stuck in a time loop. They're doomed to die every single time or doomed to be locked away. And it's an endless cycle of suffering. That's essentially what the story is. It's an endless cycle of suffering. Very simple, but they do a lot to make it very good. Being a vegetable farmer. Players have experienced many interesting stories. What is the original story framework of Wuthering Waves? I'll use an analogy. Oh, I hope Mr. Pokey doesn't read this one. I like to think of myself as a vegetable farmer. The garden I manage is our Wuthering Waves framework. It defines what kinds of vegetables can be grown. When we want to create something, it's like cooking a dish. I tell everyone what vegetables can be used for ingredients. Mr. Pokey would read this and be like, there are no vegetables in the Wuthering Waves story. What the fuck is this guy talking about? Mr. Pokey would read this and be like, ingredients? How do, like, you can't bake a game? What the fuck? Dude, like, they'd be like, goose, so dumb. You can't bake a game? What? Why do you need ingredients? What the fuck is this guy even saying, bro? Anyways, and what other vegetables are free for them to take? The framework serves to guide goals, telling every team member what is available for use. Oh, by the way, what if someone can't understand hypotheticals? There's actually been research done. If you can't comprehend anything hypothetical, you're actually extremely low IQ. That is a study that has been put out. If you are unable to understand hypotheticals, right? You ask them the question, would you prefer a hot dog or a hamburger? And they answer the question like, why does that even matter? I would just have the one I want. They're retarded. And if somebody can't understand hypotheticals or analogies, they're actually stupid. That's the point. So Mr. Pokey has proven so many times his answer to hypotheticals is like, would you prefer a hamburger or a hot dog? He just says, why can't I just have both, right? That would be his type of answer to it. That means you're stupid as shit. Legitimately, it's a sign of an unintelligent human being. Look up the studies. It's proven. If you can't understand analogies and you can't understand hypotheticals, you are like low IQ. It's like proven. There's been scientific studies on it. Just a fun fact while we're talking about Mr. Pokey. As for the specific implementation, I prefer to trust, or the framework serves to guide goals, telling every team member what is available for use, or which of their ideas can be integrated after some adjustments. As for specific implementation, I prefer to trust the expertise of the other departments. One of the reasons why Wuthering Waves is so full of vitality. Basically, it's another dig in Kuro in Hoyo Games. He's basically saying Kuro has less budget, a smaller team, but we're getting higher quality, better products out while you guys are just sitting there with your thumbs in your assholes, like with way more employees, but you just suck at everything. Anyways, speaking of vitality, players are shocked by your productivity. Remember what I just said? Remember, the interviewer is asking the questions and listening to the answers too, so this was probably his next one, knowing that he was shitting on Hoyo implicitly. Our creative logic is align on the feeling first, then let everyone use their unique skills. Sounds good to me. Let people do what they're good at. Something that Mr. Pokey can't really do that well, apparently, because he was not having Simon edit A-rolls while he was employed for Mr. Pokey. Instead, had Simon do dumb shit like editing VODs when his specialty is A-rolls. This is what it looks like when somebody actually knows how to manage a team properly. And obviously, right, that means you're catering towards and understanding what their individual strengths and weaknesses are. When planning, after integrating productivity and rhythm, we discuss internally, what feeling should this experience give the players? Once the feeling is aligned, the art, level design, performance, audio, and other departments exercise their professional skills. Yep. Basically, it's just like a rehash of this one. They're just all aligned and they do it well. It sounds ideal, but what if someone gets stuck? People do get stuck, but our creative logic allows the team to help each other out. Much like how Pokey's editors reached out to Simon after Pokey fired him to outsource work to Simon while he was in the hospital taking care of his father who had cancer. And Pokey's editors peer pressured Simon into accepting that outsourced work, knowing that. But yeah, you probably don't want, that's probably not what Kuro Games does. When one person is stuck, colleagues, even those not in the same profession, can offer ideas based on that shared feeling. Great. There's a lot of collaboration and stuff like that, right? Sometimes other parts of the process move forward first, and a few days later, the stuck person will slap their thigh and say, I've got it. Much like how Mr. Pokey will slap his future children because he talks about beating them up on Twitter all the time. Making the creativity bigger and bigger. Game, that thing. As the story volume grows, are you worried about eating books? Retcons. Much like how Mr. Pokey is trying to retcon the history of how he abused his editor Simon with his addressing the elephant video that is filled with lies and misinformation. Goose, goose, goose. We worked hard. I can't stop, can I? I'm on a roll, aren't I? I'm just on a roll, aren't I? Bro, it's so easy. He's done so many bad things. It's so easy. It's so easy. It's not this easy unless you're a bad person, right? We work hard on a development mindset of looking forward and glancing back, much like how... Unlike how Mr. Pokey refuses to glance at Simon's document a single time and actually read it out loud. Looking forward means choosing a direction within the framework. Glancing back, which Pokey is not doing at all, means we must consider previously created content or writing new stories. Okay, they're doing a good bit of both, making sure that all their bases are covered. That's awesome to hear. When we do long-term, brand new planning, are there holes we can fill from earlier? Are there details we planted unintentionally that can now bear fruit? I see. So they're basically looking back and looking at like past instances, past videos, like past parts of the story, much like how Mr. Pokey has been combing through my VODs since 2024 to try to build a case to smear my reputation with out of context clips, right? Kuro's kind of doing the same thing with looking back at past versions of the story to see, oh, what's something we can bring forward over here to really make it shine and really make it pop. The fit between new and old plots improves, and the probability of retcons naturally decreases. What is the underlying tone of the Wuthering Waves story? To use our slogan, waking of a world. Much like how the gacha community is waking up to the rampant abuse Mr. Pokey is inflicting upon his editing team. Specifically, for each version's creative approach, it's about making things that resonate with players. Whether that resonance is joy or sorrow. Much like the sorrow Mr. Pokey's editors have felt undergoing the fact that when Pokey's editors tell him that their father has cancer, he then proceeds to tell them, just fucking let go. That's the immediate first response Pokey made to that message. Yeah, so yeah, the pain of tragedy and of course, the thrill of hot-blooded action. As long as players feel the core of unyielding spirit, we have achieved our goal. Wuthering Waves still has a long way to go. We often talk about cinematic storytelling. What do you think is the fundamental difference between game narratives and movies or novels? The difference lies in who controls the progress bar. Much like how Mr. Pokey is trying to control the progress bar on this editor drama by getting my channel taken down with, well, multiple copyright strikes that he has admitted to on stream. When reading a book or watching a movie, the audience has a God view control. You can flip to the last page or drag the progress bar to the end. But in the game, the story is pushed forward by the player, and unless the player personally advances the plot, much like how Mr. Pokey has been trying to advance the end of his own career with this strike, the ending will never arrive. Every action the player takes has meaning, experience, and feeling, and we strive to measure our work against this requirement and adjust during the production. Does that mean the standard for judging whether a story is good or not has also changed? Yes, in the process of gaming, players need to actively participate in the story, thinking, and making choices. Since we are making the players put in the effort, much like how Mr. Pokey is making his editors put in the effort, we must answer one question. Is it worth it for the player to put in this effort? And for Mr. Pokey, the answer for his editors is no, because they get paid about $5 for over 12 hours of editing work. We need to align the flow. If a player thinks, why is the plot logic jumping around while they are playing, then for a game narrative, that is a failure. Good game storytelling should allow the player to resonate with the developer's guidance, much like how the entire gacha community is resonating with Simon's allegations of abuse towards Mr. Pokey. Version 3.1 has raised the player's expectations significantly. How will future versions be planned? Internally, we have a wave-like rhythm for long-term narrative planning. We arrange smooth transitions in appropriate versions and ramp up the feelings at certain nodes, much like how Mr. Pokey is trying to ramp up his community to bait me into watching his videos, which he has done multiple times and admitted to, so that he can simultaneously strike my channel with 3 strikes at once and terminate it, striving for a balance of tension and relaxation between versions. We don't want players to burn out all their passion in one version and feel like life ends here, much like how Mr. Pokey has ended his career in version 4.0 of Honkai Star Rail. For the long-term development of Wuthering Waves, we strive to achieve a steady, long-lasting sense of anticipation, much like the one shared by Mr. Pokey's editing team. It seems that the story of Wuthering Waves has become a key to player retention. How do you view this change? The core value that the Wuthering Waves story brings to players is actually a type of confidence, much like the confidence Mr. Pokey felt to strike my video, but it is a misplaced confidence. We want to tell the players, the time you spend in this game is worth it. Your companions have feelings for you, and the emotions you experience are genuine. Words that Mr. Pokey will never be able to hear, because I do believe that instead of being a human, Mr. Pokey is actually just a snake wearing human skin. But stories are ultimately performed by people. The protagonist cannot perform a monologue. We need different characters to play opposite roles to externalize the spiritual core, something that Mr. Pokey doesn't have. He was not born with one. If a character stands tall in the story and is recognized by the players, that is enough. I would say after all of this, kind of like reading all of this stuff, these guys are basically all about making sure that this bombshell version of 3.1, right? This bombshell version is having the right support, is having the right path forward so that they don't take this and just go right into a filler patch. One thing that can occur when you have a really good story is that you can fuck it up and put the brakes on. What's one game that did that? Zenless Zone Zero. What happened to Zenless Zone Zero after version 1.4? I thought 1.4 was one of the better gacha stories in gacha history. 1.4 onward in ZZZ is a fucking joke, where the stakes, everything goes to nothing. Guys, Miyabi cut a hollow in half in 1.4, and then in 2.1, we're hanging out with school children. Miyabi cut a hollow in half in 1.4, then in 2.1, we're going on adventures with school children. I hope Kuro doesn't do some retarded shit like that, because that would be the easiest way to just take all of this, all of the emotional impact, and just throw it down the drain. And I guess the thing for me is that Lahai Roy in 3.0 kind of seems so goofy. It seemed kind of like so goofy in comparison to the seriousness of the plot in version 3.1, right? And I'm hoping that they don't necessarily... That's why I call Lahai Roy 3.0. I call it a filler quest, because it felt like one. I honestly think you could skip 3.0 and play the last 20 minutes of the second half, and you would be fine for 3.1. I don't think you would be missing that much context. I will be so for real with you, because I just don't think anything you did with Lene fucking matters at all. Like, I could just delete my memory of all of 3.0 Act 1, and I don't think anything happened at all. That's my summary of this part. I realized it was getting kind of like wordy. It was getting a little bit wordy, right? And obviously we threw some jokes in there to spice it up, but it's kind of just like I think that's just the viewpoint. It's like their plan moving forward to make sure that they don't get complacent and that they don't fuck stuff up, because the story is such a big part of the retention. But stories are ultimately performed by people. The protagonist cannot perform a monologue. We need different characters to play opposite roles to externalize the spiritual core. Yep. And if a character stands tall and the story is recognized by enough, or recognized by enough players, that's enough. That's why they show Ameth over here. And that's, of course, why Cardathea, units like that, are so damn important. And I'm hoping that we end up getting more units that can share the spotlight like Ameth, but I also want to make sure that the characters, right, that we have, like Lene, the Morniers, all of that, and the Lukes, they are not just kind of like afterthoughts. But in that same respect, I really liked Luke's implementation in this quest. Like, I will be so for real with you. I thought Luke was great. I thought whatever they've been doing with Luke has been, like, perfect for, like, not meant to be a main character. Not every character in a gacha can be a main character, and I think whatever they did with him is very good. How far is the current narrative of Wuthering Waves from the perfect form in your head? Okay, I can't imagine what perfect looked like, because the game narrative isn't just a script, it's a sum of the level design, all of that. Every time we finish, we have regrets, and the next time we want to make up for them. Every time we try a new format, next time we want to try something newer. I see that. Nothing really feels cookie cutter in Wuthering Waves, and every story feels different. But what if I told you that there was a company that did kind of like the opposite of that? What if I told you there was a company that literally did the opposite of creativity, the opposite of inspiration? Check this shit out right here, brother. Gensino Impacto. They use the same animation, bro, in their story. They use the same fucking animation, bro. That's crazy. Anyway, $1 billion cut. Why do you think I said they were sneaking shots at Hoyo this entire time? How do you not sneak shots at Hoyoverse games and Hoyoverse players when this is the shit they do in their game? How do you not? This has to, like, you have to talk shit. So yeah, they just want to have diverse experiences that suit the moment, and I like this part about it. Kuro is not afraid to fail. They're not afraid to get negative feedback and just work on it and make it better next time. Because I think there have been some versions that have not been that good. We all know what I'm talking about. What label do you hope Wuthering Waves leaves in the hearts of players? Long-term development. We are in a very vibrant team, and everyone always wants to create something new, whether it's a new narrative structure or the fusion of gameplay. We want to convey to players that they should view Wuthering Waves with a long-term perspective. We will work hard to keep bringing fresh experiences to our players. Yeah, well, I'm gonna be real over here, man. This was a pretty damn solid article. Credits to Narushio for translating this one. Could have used a little bit extra translation on certain quotes just to make sure they're one-to-one with the EN version of the game. But overall, quite easy to understand, and I would say very, very, very enlightening. But yeah, that's gonna be it for this one, ladies and gentlemen. I thought it was an awesome chat and really inspires a lot of confidence in me for the story that we have ahead. Peace out.